Hi, my name is Jerry, and I'm sitting here with my friends Victor and Nathan and Jeff, and we're talking about church planting, particularly starting a church plant with a team. You know, it seemed like Paul, every time he was planting churches, he always seemed to do it with people around him. These are the folks who are really, really important to us. You know, and there's several reasons why I think it'd be really important to start with a team. Maybe loneliness or some connecting points, but what are some of your thoughts about starting with a team?
Yeah, I think on loneliness, if you come into an area, if you're coming in from another location, you don't have a group of friends, you're living in that city, you move to a different city, you move to even a different country, it can become a very lonely thing. And when it's just you, your wife, and your kids, or just you by yourself, it can become very lonely. So having a team around you of support, prayer support, not just prayer support, but vision support, coming alongside of you, and just you guys coming together as a force to advance the kingdom, just removes some of that loneliness. So
yeah.
I think it's good.
Yeah, I find a key part of that is just having people understand what you're doing, because you can make friends with others people, and they're like, people already get it, so you're not just out there.
Yeah.
That's been key to me.
Yeah, to have those kind of connecting points where people can see the vision or what you're wanting to accomplish, but it's kind of being lived out in more people's lives than just your own.
Yeah.
You know, I remember one time we were struggling with that same sort of issue, and it was like I looked at Diana and said, they just don't get it, but they don't see it in somebody else's life. They think, that's just Jerry, that's just the way he lives. But to begin to see it in somebody else's life is really helpful.
Yeah. And then one of the things I think you also mentioned is like just the opportunity to connect with other people. You have more people, it means more connections, more relationships.
Yep, that's right. You know, another reason maybe is we really don't need, I don't know about you, but I'm no Superman, and no church planter really is. We've got to have the help of, and the talents and the gifts of other people. What do you think, Nathan?
I think that's really important. I think that the church planter himself doesn't really hold all of the same passions or desires or interests that the community does, but when you have that team, you're able to send them out, and they have different passions, different interests, different desires, and they're able to connect with people on a whole other level.
Sure.
Not necessarily just the one person has that ability too. So I think having a team around in that purpose is very important.
Well, you guys were just sharing a story about that had happened today with somebody that you met, because Victor is as musical as a radio, but you were able to connect with somebody. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, a friend of mine, we connected through music, actually, both guitar players, and that really that was the beginning point of our relationship together. And that's been an ongoing process now for months, and to see where that's brought us to relationally has, I guess, really established this comfortability in our relationship, and brought it to the point of being able to share the gospel, and for him to see that, we really are alike, and to connect the gospel relationally is so important, to say, hey, this isn't some far out there thing.
Right.
But even the people that I take interest in, or I have the same interest as,
I think that's what people are looking for, is people who are just like them, but that aren't like them.
Right.
If that makes sense, and the more people you have that are just like them, that aren't like them, the better.
Sure. Yeah. How has it been having a team around? Kind of been a support for your family or your wife particularly, guys?
Yeah. My wife, some of her closest friends are some of the ladies on our team. And then the thing that also does is we, seriously, my daughter and my son, they're pretty much their only Christian friends are the people that are on our team that have kids that are the same age as my children, and they're friends. Both last year in school, both my son and my daughter were the only Christians in their class, and so to have that is a great support for children and for our wives, for sure.
Well, for sure. Okay, so it's really important for us to have a team, you know, as we're moving along. So when we're looking at this team, this group of people that are in with us through the thick and thin, there's some commonalities maybe, and then there's some distinctivenesses of this team. Some of the commonalities, you know, might be vision or some of those sorts, but what do you think are some of those commonalities that we need in those team members?
Yeah, I think one thing is to have the team have a trust in you as a leader,
Yeah.
and you as a vision caster, and that those the people that are on your team respect you and trust you enough. It's not like they have to be bow down or anything like that, but they have a relationship with you that's good and it's trustworthy, and they respect you as a leader, to be able to step in and you say, this is what I feel like God's wanting us to do, and they say, all right, let's do it, and they come behind you, and you guys do that, and you go together. That's a huge thing. They trust you as a leader.
That's great. Victor, you had some ideas too.
Well, it was just there for them owning the vision themselves and really going for it. If you don't have them owning the vision, it's going to be very hard to lead. But if you have them owning the vision and this is a team thing together, you'll be much better.
Yeah. I think it's essential too is you've got to have folks around you that are passionately in love with Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, that they really are sold out to this Lord that is putting the fuel behind everything that we do. You know, that they've given their lives to Him, and they're willing to do whatever it takes because Jesus has called us to it.
Yeah.
I think that's just a huge thing that we really need in ours.
Yeah, and I think we're all passionate. Everybody's passionate about something.
Right.
But when it comes to starting, and when you're just beginning to start a church, you kind of have to just say, okay, we're passionate about this, but we have to be passionate about everything. And we're all moving forward, and we're all in this, and we're going to do whatever it takes necessary. The hard things, the dirty jobs, all the things, the setup, the tear down, all the things that people take for granted, I think, at some point when you're just attending a place. But you kind of have to all work forward to do everything that needs to be done to start it. So.
You know, you bring it up a great point because there are some there's a lot of bases to get covered when you're doing a church plant, and so there's some distinctivenesses that, you know, that maybe one planter, one of your team members is really good at one thing and somebody else is really good at another thing. What do you think some of those different areas might be that you want to look for in a team member?
Well, for me, music. I can't do music to save my life, so it's great having Nathan to do that because that's a key part of where we are currently with the plant.
Sure.
And but at the same time, there's also we're not done until everyone's done. That's like one of our things. We've got each other's backs.
Right.
So we all do everything we can. I can help set up the mic stands and move the guitar cases, but
Yeah.
I think it's really important to have a key person who is very relationally involved, very outgoing, very friendly, really willing to go up to that person who may be brand new, walking in for the first time to a church, maybe for the first time, and being able to say, "Hi, my name's so-and-so, welcome to this church. We're so happy that you're here." You know, everyone's not always willing to take that step to just say, "Hey, let's go talk to the new person."
Right.
So I think someone being very extroverted in that sense and being able to connect is so important.
Yeah. Jeff, what do you think it takes?
Yeah, I think, and the thing I think is beautiful about the generation that's raising up right now is that there are very anthropological people. They want to do things for other people. They want to do things for the poor and do things for the least of these. And so you have to have somebody on your team that has that eye, and they're saying to you, you know, hey, Jesus did this. We're going to do this as a church. This is something we need to be doing. And really pouring your church's DNA into social justice issues, being a part of that.
Yeah.
So.
You know, I think another really key role that if we can help find and foster in our team members is one or two of those that really can help develop some disciples that can walk alongside some new Christians and begin to help invest in them what it means, what it looks like to be living out Christ in their daily life, to teach them how to do a Bible study and what the Bible means and how to pray and some of those sorts of things. Yeah. We take those for granted, but it takes someone pouring that into another person for that to come about.
That's so important when Jesus said the last thing He said on earth was to make disciples of all nations.
Yeah,
and
for
this idea that one-on-one discipleship is so important.
Yeah.
And to be mentoring those below us and to be raising up more leaders. And it's just a beautiful thing to see that process trickle down through your church once
Yeah.
you establish that core, and then you start discipling others beneath you, and then seeing those then
Yeah.
disciple others, and
It's a beautiful
you're
thing.
all discipling each other. So it's very important to have someone like that.
Well, guys, a team is like super important when you're planning a church. I think we're all pretty committed to that. It's been great having this little conversation. Thanks.
You guys didn't mention having all the team members willing to make friends. Did you consider that to be important
Yeah.
as a common characteristic?
Yeah.
How have you seen that work out in your own church plants? Friendliness, or your just initiative taking?
Yeah, I mean, I think Victor touched on it some, as far as connecting points, and the more, I mean, because
More connections.
Exactly.
More people, more connections.
exactly, you're going to connect with people, and he's going to connect with people, and you have different people on your team. They're all, so you guys may connect with 100 people, and he's connecting with 100 people. Now all of a sudden you're connecting to 200 people rather than just 100 if it's just you.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the huge part of that team. So yeah, I mean, you definitely have to have somebody on your team, and not just somebody, everybody on your team that's focused on intentionally building relationships with people, and touching lives. And
I really appreciate what Nathan had to say too, and just having that person who has the eye when you gather to say, there's a new person, I need to make sure I connect with them, and to encourage others around to say, hey, let's go meet this new family or this new couple or whatever. And kind of help set that pace, because not everybody's going to have that kind of perspective, but it takes one or two to say, hey, let's go meet and reach out.
So how important is it that each team members share their faith, as opposed to having some of the members that share their faith?
Well, I think that's kind of an essential, especially in that core group, that each of those people know how to share their faith. They're comfortable sharing their faith. They've led somebody to the Lord. They know what that tastes like, so to speak, because they're the ones that are going to have to set that kind of example for everybody else that's going to come along.
I think that's almost going back to being built into, or should be built into, all of our church's vision from the start.
I agree.
Is how are we going to most effectively reach this community for Jesus? And,
Right.
and that meaning how we're going to have to step out at some point, and we're going to have to talk about Jesus.
Right.
And that's going to come up through building relationships, or it could come up through a first-time meeting of some sort of evangelism. It could be relational or first time on the streets. It really depends on the community and how you're affecting that particular community. What's the best way to share your faith in that community?
I think it's really important, because as a church, we have to remember that the most valuable thing that we've got to give our community is the gospel. We can feed the poor, we can reach out to mothers, or we can do all kinds of social stuff. But there will always be others alongside, probably with more resources than we have to do it. But the most important and the most valuable thing we've got is the gospel. And so if we can help integrate that into our team in a way that we really bring something that is life-changing and transformative to our communities.